What is going on, Lucid fans? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I want to give you a good overview of things that you need to know for this upcoming week, some economic events, some other obviously situations that may or may not affect the price of Lucid. I'm also going to go over some technicals and give you my price prediction for the end of the week. Before I get into any of that, making sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I greatly appreciate that. With that though, let's get right to it. So as far as economic data, the only thing really coming out this week that could cause Lucid and the broader market a little bit more volatility is good old CPI data. So I'm just going to show you this as far as this coming Wednesday. So in general though, the forecast is that it's going to be a little bit lower. If that is the case, then do anticipate there's going to be a broad rally in the market. On the contrary though, if CPI is a lot higher than even what the forecast is, then do anticipate that a lot more fear is going to be brought in the market. A lot more recession talks, if you want to talk about that, is going to start being played. So that definitely could cause a little bit more volatility, and that is coming out on Wednesday. So just giving you a good projection of that. So the core CPI, the month over month, previously was 0.7. Now it is forecasted to be 0.5. So in reality, obviously a little bit lower. And keep in mind that CPI does have a fairly heavy weighted energy component to that. So this is why CPI has been a little bit more of a red flag, because energy has gone up considerably over the previous months. So that just might be something you need to factor in. And when they're disclosing this is technically for July. So when you're comparing it, it's technically June comparing to July. So in reality, I think July's prices were going down. So in comparison to June, it should show CPI is going down. My own 2 cents, I'm not a financial advisor, so do your own due diligence at the end of the day. But outside of that though, the only thing that could really cause a little bit more volatility in Lucid itself is most likely because of Rivian. So on August 11th, after market close, that is when Rivian is having their earnings, so their Q2 earnings. And typically, yes, they're not really directly related, but if there is another negative thing that is brought up about Rivian, then potentially it could be sought out in Lucid. This is typically what happens within the same sector. It is very unfortunate, but it does happen at the end of the day. But still, those are some things that most likely will cause a little bit more possible volatility. But outside of that though, one positive thing that has been happening for Lucid is the 13F's. And lately the 13F's that have been coming down the pipeline have all been fairly positive. But this coming week, a lot of the big players are going to be disclosing their positions in Lucid. So the PIF most likely will be the following week, but there still is Vanguard, BlackRock, Franklin, Morgan Stanley. A lot of those will be this week. And typically we have to factor in that Lucid was added to the Russell 1000 within Q2, so it should represent itself on these 13F's. Keep in mind, a lot of retail investors really focus a lot on this and kind of take it as a very big catalyst. So if a lot of institutions, similar to what happened last quarter, add, then that will be a nice buying opportunity for Lucid, hopefully get us to the next level up. Because I know we did have a little bit more of a subpar Q2 earnings. Obviously that's up to your own discretion, whether it's good, bad, or the ugly, whatever it is. But still, all of that is now behind us and now factored into the price. So when a lot of these new catalysts come to play, it doesn't matter that we're only doing between 6,000 to 7,000 vehicles for 2022. We have to factor in and start to look forward now. So again, that's my own 2 cents on how I see things. But outside of that though, I do anticipate a lot of shorts getting in if the CPI is very bad. So that's something you need to factor in, because we have recently gone down from 25 down to 20.45 for the short interest. So it has gone down considerably. And despite with the Q2 numbers that came out, shorts didn't really take advantage of that. So it goes to show that in reality, Lucid might be at a very fair market value, if you want to call it that. And right now there still is 119.74 million shares being shorted. Works out to be technically on Friday 1.68 million shares being returned, and still cost to borrow is roughly about 16%, give or take. So everything's been pretty stagnant, if not shorts have been closing out their position. So that could be seen as a little bit more of a bullish sign. And with all of that though, just want to cap it off with some technical analysis. So I do have the 50, 100, 200-day moving averages, Bollinger Bands, RSI, stochastic, and momentum. Momentum ever since the earnings came out, basically, number of buyers have been going down. down. So clearly the earnings scared off a lot of retail investors. On the contrary though, number of actual institutions have been continuously buying more and more. So this is just from Friday alone. And I did do a tweet on this, and it goes to show how much institutions still continuously buy. So again, that's one of those things up to your own discretion. Clearly a lot of retail investors were a little bit more scared based on that. Obviously institutions love to buy the dip because they know when there is a lot of value long term. On the contrary, when it comes down to stochastic, there is a little bit more of a deviation. So red line above the black, showing a little bit more of a bearish sentiment wanting to form in that regard. And currently at 41, RSI is at 45, so fairly neutral there. On the actual chart, again, this is going to tie into my price prediction because we are currently below this 50-day moving average. So that damn 50-day moving average that we've always flirted with, that we always have trouble actually breaking over. So right now we did attempt to break it on Thursday and Friday. Those are obviously past the Q2 earnings, but still we failed to do that. So as of right now, that is something that we really need to watch for. So the 50-day moving average is at $18.73. We do need to get over that, like I said, for us to get to the next level. After that though, then we have 1987 and obviously around that $20 mark, which is more of a psychological restraint or resistance point, if you want to call it that. So depending on the CPI data that does come out, which in my opinion, I feel it's going to be very positive, that it'll show and indicate that inflation is curbed and that it'll start to trend down. If that is the case, then I personally feel that we can easily be between roughly about the $18 mark, so where we exactly are right now, to roughly about $19. I don't see it being that volatile because I personally feel a lot of shorts that are going to still continuously play off of that Q2 earnings, because all the articles that you still see coming out, despite it being almost a week ago, a lot of articles are still just reiterating about Lucid's poor performance, if you want to call it that, neglecting all the positives that came out of the earnings and only focusing on that. So clearly the media, or whatever you want to call them, articles are just twisting it to their own discretion or whatever it is. I'm not really sure particularly, but I do anticipate that equating to a little bit more volatility, more so on Monday and Tuesday, possible red days. But at the end of the day, I feel that we are still going to hold our roughly about 1750 support level, bounce off of that, and that's where we'll get between that 18 to 1850 to possibly $19 mark, depending on how CPI goes. So let me know your thoughts on all of that in the comments below, and also give yourself a shout out in the comments below if you've just been diamond handing this since last year. You obviously didn't sell during the massive rally, and you're just diamond handing this because you know the huge amount of value that Lucid does have, as obviously I do as well. So let me know your thoughts on that, and if you are one of those individuals as well. But again, don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I greatly appreciate that. And with all that though, I appreciate you guys watching, and let's all make a lot of money on Lucid.